Boys, what is up? It is your boy D, and this is DeezCards. Today, I'm coming back at you with another spicy $30 deck profile. If you didn't catch it in the thumbnail, it is going to be a Machinized Madness deck profile. So, if you're catching this video now, this is going to be a huge spoiler for you. Oh, you see that grease? Sorry, boys. So if you're seeing this video right now, this is going to be a huge spoiler for you boys on a new series that I just started recording with my friend Kyle last night. That's right, DeezCards is hopping on the sealed-only train, going around all the stores in town. Machinized Madness was the only semi-decent structure deck I could find to start with. We wanted to get filming right away, so that is my starting point for the series. I will be dropping that in about a month or so. We're going to film a few episodes ahead of time, get it out there. It's going to be really cool. Nice little spin on your classic sealed only, as we are calling it sealed only sparring. The two of us are trying to get to a competitive level, training together every week using only cards from booster packs and other sealed product. Anyway, we got a big boy Machina Citadel here, and we also got the brew of the day. But if you are here, you are one of these boys. This channel is all about content for the boys, regardless of gender, and don't you forget it. Without any further ado, boys, let's get this deck profile started. As like in my other deck profiles, I'm going to show you the main combo or board that you want to shoot for, and then we'll get into the actual card list. Okay, boys, like I mentioned, I'm going over the main board that you want before I get into the actual card list. Now, this deck is really good at simply getting big boys out on the field, and the boss monster has a pretty strong effect. So this is honestly really what you're going to be looking to consistently get out there to have a decent fighting chance. I would say Machina Citadel and Machina Fortress on the board. The two main pieces, you might open some traps, you might open some other things, you might be able to get even more boys on the board, but this is like the basic standard thing that you're going to be going for. And it's really easy to get there, and that's why I say this. So if you open a hand with Machina Gear Frame or Scrap Recycler, Machina Redeployment, or Machina Aerator, it's insanely easy to get there. You can even open Machina Irradiator to help set this up. So look at this, there's 5 cards in here. Every single one of these is a 3 of, and every single one of these helps you get to this board. This is kind of a weird one, because in some of my other deck profiles, it's been more specific of what you have to open. You can say it's a 1 or it's a 2 card combo, but these are 3 ofs of all of these. This one doesn't search, but it still helps facilitate the combo. So if you open Machina Redeployment and you open Machina Aerator and some other random discard, you throw down Machina Redeployment, discard your card, you add these 2 guys to your hand. Now you have Machina Aerator, Citadel, and Fortress. Activate Machina Aerator, discarding your Citadel to special summon the Aerator. Assume that since I only had 3 cards in hand, you'll have another machine monster to discard for Fortress. You'll discard that other random machine monster, get Fortress on the board, set your other card, let's say it's a spell or trap, and pass turn. Then on their draw phase, before they can go standby, activate Aerator, target itself, special summon another Fortress from deck. There's your Fortress. Now you have 2 of them on the field, and then because an Earth Machine monster was destroyed, Machina Citadel's effect engrave triggers, and then it special summons, and that's the board that you have. Right, so that's just one of the many ways that you get there. It's really simple. I mean, just read the cards and you'll see how easy it is to get a Fortress and a Citadel on the board. Now, what Machina Citadel does on a quick effect is you get to target a machine monster on your side of the field, destroy that monster and all monsters on your opponent's side of the field that has less than or equal to attack. That's a really strong effect when you know the choke point of your opponent's combo, so you can wipe the floor with them at that point. And then Machina Fortress is a indirect interruption. You can't interact with your opponent, but if they target it, you get to look at their hand and pitch a card, and if they destroy it, then you get to destroy any card on their side of the field. This card recurs itself from the graveyard too, is really strong. That's even like a pretty basic board. So with that said, let's get into the actual deck list, and you'll see just how easy it is to bring the big boys out. Okay, so now that you know what kind of beef this deck can put out there, let's get into the cards that you will be playing in it. So we're starting off with 3 of the big boy himself, Machina Citadel. He cannot be normal summoned, but it's easy to get him out in this deck, and when he does get out there, he can Regeki your opponent on a quick effect. He's the main boss monster of the deck. Not as strong as something like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, but it does have quite a bit of potential. Then I'm playing 3 Machina Fortress. This card is really great because it offers potential for interruptions on your opponent's turn when they try to interact with it, and it also is really easy to recur from the graveyard or your hand. So you can summon it from your hand, and then if it gets sent to the graveyard, or if you pop it for Machina Citadel's effect, you can keep recurring it every turn from the graveyard. So that's why I'm playing 3 of this guy. You don't want to play any bricks in the deck. These high-level monsters are not bricks in this deck, because they just come out on special summon. Pretty much all of them do. Then we have 3 Machina Aerator. It searches from the deck on your opponent's turn and special summons a monster. This card exploding, or another monster of yours exploding, potentially triggers Machina Citadel's effect that you have in the graveyard and gets that out. So that's another reason why you want to play 3 of these. And again, it's special summon just by discarding any Machina monster. And it doesn't say that you can't special summon itself using itself. It doesn't have a hard clause on its name. It just says an other Machina monster, so it could be a different copy of Aerator. Then we have Irradiator. Similar effect to Aerator, but it specials from the graveyard and it does it on your own turn. So very strong. Again, if you have an Irradiator in your hand and you have an Aerator in your hand, you discard one to get the other out there. It's not a brick. Then we have 3 copies of Machina Gear Frame. It is a Elemental Hero Stratos type beat. It can search from deck to hand any Machina monster, so whatever you need to fulfill the combo. The other normal summon of the deck, I'm playing 3 Scrap Recycler. This deck really does want resources in the graveyard. You know, you can special Machina Citadel easily from the graveyard. You can special summon Machina Fortress easily from the graveyard. Machina Megaform, which we'll see in a second, does things when it's in the graveyard as well. So Scrap Recycler is a strong normal summon for the deck, and it does come with the structure deck. Hey, might as well play it. Playing 1 Machina Possessed Storage. So it's a Dark Machine monster, which when it's destroyed, it doesn't trigger Citadel's Revival, and it specials in defense mode, and you can't use the effects that turn. So there's a few things that doesn't exactly synergize with the deck, so I'm only playing 1 of those. It seems to be working pretty well with me so far. I'm playing 1 Megaform. Now in the graveyard, this card is really good, but in your hand, it doesn't really do much. You can't really special it in any way, so I'm only playing 1 of these. But when Machina Fortress goes to the graveyard, you can banish that fortress and special this guy, and then that guy specials any Machina monster from the deck. You can get Citadel from the deck. Then we're playing 3 of the Kaiju. With the structure deck and its limited options, you want to play the strong cards where you can. Problem is, there's not too many ways to get over this, but you can crash with your Fortress into it and pop it using Fortress's effect Engrave. So that's how you get over that card. There's not really any other ways in the deck. However, you will have access to Fortress most of the time, unless you like completely totally brick, which doesn't happen too often when you have a card like this. Machina Redeployment, that's a discard, and you can search in any 2 Machina cards. So you don't brick too often in a deck with a searcher as strong as this. Now the ceiling for this deck might not be that high in terms of competitive play, but on the structure deck level, on the local level, on the casual level, this thing is strong, man. You get some really crazy monsters out there with not a whole lot of work. I'm also playing 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. Good spell and trap removal. It's banishing. It's a pretty strong one, so that's a good staple that comes with the structure deck. Then the structure deck also comes with the Pot of Greed. You have 3 Iron Draw, which honestly, to conserve resources instead of dumping your whole hand in the first turn, I will probably say special summon 2 cards, get 2 monsters on the board, use this, and maybe get 1 more special summon off. It's pretty good, you know, you're not playing combo or anything like that. In later variations of the deck where you have an extra deck, that might not be the move because you might want to combo off, but at least in this build of the deck, you can play Iron Draw because you're not really going to need your special summons once you get the 2 big boys on the board. 3 limiter removal, just so you can beef them boys up and get in for big swings. Then we got 2 Machina Overdrive. This trap card's somewhat decent. You can swap out something on your board for something that you really want, and you can also use a graveyard effect to get monsters back to your deck and draw a card. Now, I will say that shuffling back into the deck is kind of a drawback. Unless you have something like Machina Redeployment in your hand, shuffling the monsters as cost for this effect back into your deck is kind of a drawback because you like your resources to be in the graveyard. However, it is a pretty solid card. I'm playing 2 of it, and then the last 3 cards, 38, 39, and 40, are Solemn Strike because that's probably the strongest interruption that you can get. You can beef these guys up and go in big, go in second, but because you're playing the trap cards, because you want Machina Citadel and you want Machina Fortress on the board as your forms of interruption, where you can't fit in hand traps and other generic negates with like an extra deck would be able to, I suggest you want to pick first when you go because this deck hardly ever bricks, and you're going to be able to get some big boys and set up your interruptions that way. Again, through your traps and through the effects of Citadel and Fortress being on the board. And boys, that is it for my $30 Machina deck profile. These cards are all over the place in my local shops, so if you happen by them, maybe pick 3 copies of it and see what all the fuss is about. I do think on the completely casual level, this deck is really strong. I mean, against other structure decks like the Rocket Link, I mean, that deck has a hard time getting its Link 4s out there like Boral Sword Dragon with just the stuff that's out of the box in the deck, and you can get Machina Citadel, Machina Fortress on the board almost every time you open 5 cards in deck. So, I don't know, maybe give this one a shot. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you do pick up 3 decks. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being one of my boys. Got 'em.